Hey folks, we're looking today at the surface area of a sphere. And there in the yellow box at the top is the formula for the surface area of a sphere equals 4 times pi times the radius squared. Now when you're using that formula, it's really important that the squaring only applies to the radius, i.e. square the radius first, then times it by 4 pi. So here in our example, we've got a radius of 7 centimeters. That's the formula. Put the radius of 7 centimeters into that formula. As I said, be very careful, square the 7 first and then times by 4 pi. And that's our answer. You have your calculator handy, just tap that in and just check that's the answer that you get. And then we'll round off to something sensible, 3 significant figures. So that would be 615, and because our original units are in centimeters, the units for our area are in squared centimeters. Here in example 2, find the surface area of the sphere whose diameter is 12 centimeters. Once we have a diameter of 12 centimeters, we convert that into a radius of 6 centimeters because it's the radius that we need for our area. Note what we can't do, we cannot use 12 in our formula and then just divide the answer by 2 at the end. We have to find the radius first and then substitute that into the formula. So there's our formula, substitute 6 into it. Remember, square the radius first and then times by 4 pi, and then at the end we'll round that off to 3 significant figures. Here in example 3, we want the total surface area of the hemisphere. A hemisphere, as you can see, is half a sphere. First of all, we've got the curved surface area, and that's shown by the yellow area in the diagram. And that's just half the hemisphere. So, sorry, half the sphere. So the sphere would be 4 times pi times r squared, and we want half of that. And that works out to 508.938. But in addition to the curved surface area, there's also the flat bit, which is a circle. And that's the top face. The radius is 9 centimeters, so it's pi times 9 squared because it's just the area of a circle. That's 254.469, and we add those two together to give the total surface area, and that's 763 square centimeters to 3 significant figures. Moving on then to find the volume of a sphere. There's the formula there in the box, 4/3 pi r cubed. Or you can think of that as 4 pi r cubed all divided by 3. It's the same thing. 4 pi r cubed divided by 3, or 4/3 pi r cubed. So in our first example, we've got a radius of 8 centimeters. Put 8 into the formula. So I would be thinking we're cubing 8 first and then timesing by pi and timesing by 4/3. Tap that in your calculator and hopefully that's the right answer. And then we would round off to something suitable, in this case 3 significant figures. Our original units were in centimeters, so the units for our volume are in cubic centimeters. Here in example 2, just be a little bit careful, we're given the diameter of the sphere, so immediately we need to find the radius of it, which is half the diameter, so that would be 5 centimeters. There's the formula. Put r equals 5 into the formula. Tap that into our calculator, so it's 5 cubed times pi times 4/3. And then round off to something suitable, 524 cubic centimeters to 3 significant figures. And finally, in example 3, we've got a hemisphere this time. I want to find the volume of the hemisphere. A hemisphere is just half a sphere, so the volume of the hemisphere will be half the volume of the full sphere. So it's a half times 4/3 times pi times r cubed. R equals 6. So when we're tapping that in our calculator, 6 cubed times pi times 4/3 times a half. There's our answer, and we round off, and it's 452, and the units are cubic centimeters.